Hey, we're going to take it back to basics on this video here. We're going to talk about something a lot of my other videos stem from when I'm talking about, your healthy circle, knowing how to not get reeled back into things. This is going to go real basic, and I think it'll do a lot of people good. The topic of today's video is going to be recognizing mistreatment. Recognizing mistreatment. We're going to talk about some of the underbelly of how this goes on. It made me think about, it's a few relationships that, if you thought about the title on it, that they should be very close relationships, but they aren't. And the reason why they aren't is because they're lopsided. They're one-sided, and after I evaluated things, I just saw that this is unfair. I don't accept this. One of the ways, without diving into too many details, but I'm just trying to paint this general picture to you all on what I'm referring to when I'm talking about recognizing mistreatment. I'm talking about operating from a place of love. Being genuine in your efforts, the things that you do. And one of the things that really caused me to put a spotlight on this in my life, and not that it just necessarily, like their own words or what sunk the ship for me, because I was already recognizing on what they were doing, but it just kind of like confirmed it. It was just like reassuring me that, hey, this is mistreatment, and you know what? I don't have to put up with this. On the two relationships that I'm thinking about right offhand, I'm thinking about, I was already feeling a particular type of way about our interaction and how we engage with one another. And I see the way that you do with others. And I'm like, man, you'll really go to any length to maintain these relationships and just really go all out in dealing with them. And you're not getting anything in return. And with me, I'm not asking for anything. I'm just showing love, and you're giving me your back. And what's funny is, both the situations, and I know if I was to think deeper and harder, there'd be multiple ones that popped up. But I'm just going to stick with these two. I've gotten the same statement from both of them. It was almost verbatim on, hey, I know it may seem like such and such, with me and you. It's not. It's because, and then it'll go into ... whatever the excuse is that fits up for that situation. It's because, it'll usually start out with a compliment with me on, how strong you are and how, resilient and whatever else that they want to try to fill my head up with. And then they go into it. It's what it's almost like? It's almost like hey, it's not me, it's you. Or it's not you, it's me. Now, the relationships I'm talking about, I'm not talking about relationships like intimate relationships with a relationship, a partner. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like close-knit relationships. Or they should be close-knit because of the title that's on the relationship. And it brought me back to this topic because I thought about it. I was like, you know what? Not only are you putting this in, not only are you just really difficult to deal with, really draining, and you're giving me the back portion of you while your attention is going elsewhere, and you claim it's because I know you don't really need it. I know you're just like rolling on your own. And it's just like, I'm not asking for a fraction of what these others are asking for, and our relationship is totally disregarded until you see something that you want out of it, and then hey, it's calling all cars. Whether it's a shoulder to lean on, or bending my ear off, whatever the case may be. But you can't do this with the others because they don't see you in that light. It's the same thing as being mistreated. It's no different from verbal abuse, any type of abuse, because you're in a way you're dogging a person out. Well, we shouldn't say any. All abuse are their own categories of abuse, but what I'm saying is it's its own thing too. That's what I'm saying. You're still dogging a person out. It doesn't matter whether it's physical or mental or whatever the case may be. You're not being right. That's the point that I'm making. I'm not blurring the lines with all of them and saying, no matter what, they're all the same. I'm saying no matter how you want to slice it up, you're not right. You're not dealing with them from a place of love. And you're mistreating them. You're mistreating the relationship. It doesn't matter on how you're doing it. You're mistreating the person. That's what counts. You're wrong. You have to recognize this and these relationships to say, hey, you know what? This is how I got to deal with this accordingly. This is mistreatment. This is abuse. I recognize it for what it is. This is how I'm going to handle it in a healthy way. Recognizing you already got a lot of the battle beat with just recognizing it. Because it'll allow you to decide for yourself on how much time you wanted to, give to something. That's the reason why we talk about all of the, I'm not going to go into all the topics that we talk about because it's over 500 topics on this channel. All the things that we talk about, I try to leave those little breadcrumbs into leading up what relationship should be from a standpoint of healthy and what healthy looks like and what a relationship shouldn't be. Like I stated, we're all imperfect, so they're going to have elements mixed in of both, but you want as least the least amount possible of that unhealthiness. Like I said, let the truth be told, we're all unhealthy, so we're bringing something unhealthy to the table. But I'm just saying, big old pieces of unhealthiness, no, you can keep that over there. I'll recognize it. I don't want any part of it. Going back to the topic of this video with me talking about the slights of me recognizing what mistreatment is, when I thought about it, just because, hey, we're not at each other's throats, or we're not at odds with one another, the way that you're still doing, you're mistreating this relationship. And I recognize that. And it's wrong. It makes me feel dirty in dealing with you. What am I going to do about it? Like I said in earlier videos, I don't care how little control that you think that you have in a situation, you have some degree of control. Keep in mind, like I stated, which I practically almost end off all these videos on, you want to make sure whatever you're doing is healthy. 2, keep in mind, I've said just because I'm doing something that's healthy for me might not be the most healthiest thing for you. Case in point, I'll give you an example. We're going to take a really primitive, basic example of this. Cutting somebody off who's always borrowing money. Me saying, hey, this is enough because you say that you're borrowing money. I don't have it to give. You have yet to pay me back on the 25 loans that I've loaned you. I'm not going to lend you any more money. That's a healthy choice for me. Might not necessarily be healthy for them. They're not going to see it that way because they're not getting what they want. So that's what I mean by it might not necessarily be healthy up for them. Me being healthy for me is going to be healthy. And if you're keen to it, if you're keen to what's going on, you don't have your feelings and your emotions all up on your shoulder, maybe you'll come to realize that what I'm doing is healthy for you as well. That's what I'm talking about recognizing mistreatment. Recognize when you're being mistreated. It's something that I talk to my daughter about. And striving for relationships and trying to have interactions with people. Do you recognize when they're doing you dirty? Do you recognize when they're making a mockery of the situation? You got to recognize these things so you can stop pursuing it. Because at this point, you're having a hand in being abused as much as this person is doing it to you because you recognize it and you're still seeking out to do it. And then in turn, it's really a jacked up situation to have because it makes them think they know that I know what I'm doing, so it's okay because they even accept it. So I'm going to keep on doing it until I get tired. Recognize when you're being mistreated. My name's Ayin. That's the topic of today's video. If you have any questions, send them to my Gmail. Ayin.Kilimanjaro@gmail.com. I'll do my best to answer your question in a video. In the meantime, stay encouraged, avoid being discouraged. I'm Ayin. You have a good one.